another video with Blocs Builder. In today's video, we're going to have a quick look at our Bric VH helper. And our VH helper is a unique brick for Blocs. What it does is it integrates Bootstrap 5's visually hidden helper classes. That's a mouthful. But these classes are really handy. It helps us in our design features while we can maintain really good SEO, and also has some accessibility functionality that just makes our websites just that much better for those that need assistive technologies. And who knows, the web is for everyone. So here I am on the VH helper website, and as you scroll down, there's a whole lot of information about the brick itself, and a guide here for using the settings, breaking down, explaining what they are, and then an example of what I've used on the site here, styling, and just some settings you have to set in Safari for testing. Okay, for accessibility. Right, so mainly VH helper is based around two aspects: visually hidden, which is predominantly used for H1 tags, and we're going to look at that in a moment, and also skip to content link, which is a really cool accessibility feature for people that need to use keyboards for navigation. So I'm just going to show you what visually hidden H1 tags means. So I'm going to use the Apple website. Now, Apple don't do this on every page, but they often use it. In fact, a lot of websites do use this technique. So here I am on the MacBook Air page. And normally when we're building our website, there's a hierarchy of headings that must be used. Now, H1 must be used on every page, and then followed by H2, H3, H4, so forth. Now, H1 must be always before H2. They have to be in order. And if we look at this website, we would kind of assume that this text here could be in H1. But if we come and look at the code here, I'll scroll up so we can see that as well. And if we look in the code here, we'll actually see that this headline, MacBook Air, is actually an H2 element. Now, we could almost think, okay, they've just skipped the H1. But if we come up in the code, we will see that there is actually an H1 tag being used on this page. And if we look at the styles that are applied, what we have is we have some clip path set, we have some height and the width. Basically what they've done is they've styled it in such a way that it hides it visually, but makes sure that the H1 tag is in the flow of the document here. And what that means is that for SEO and for screen readers and other things like that, when they go through this document, they're going to find the H1 before the H2, and it's gonna work as intended. But visually, we don't have to see that H1. And this is really handy for all sorts of design decisions we want to make on our websites. For example, this site here, there isn't really anywhere to put an H1 tag that would work well for this design. So we're going to have a look at how this looks like in Blocs. So I'm going to go over to my my Blocs Builder website project, and here I am in my project, and we're going to be messing around with the H1 tag that we have here, VH helper. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and probably not the best page to be doing this because this page is nice and long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our brick to the bottom here. And we've got a warning straight away because our skip to content needs an ID. But we're going to look at that in just a moment. We're going to focus on our visibility hidden options. And so if we look on the right hand panel with our brick selected, we'll see our options divided up between visually hidden, visibility hidden, and also skip to content link down here. Excuse me. So we're going to focus on these options for now. So what this does is it allows you to use these visually hidden classes on the design canvas in a visual way. So normally if you apply these Bootstrap helper classes to your project, as soon as you add it to the canvas, that element's going to disappear. You won't be able to see it, and it changes or makes it very difficult to design our websites. So we'll see here in the settings here, it says helper class visually hidden, which is the name of the Bootstrap class. We can click this button here and it's going to copy that class to our clipboard, and we can add this to our class manager. And I'm just going to paste that right there, add the class. Great. So I'm going to scroll up the top here now, and I'm going to apply that class to my H1 element. Visually hidden. There we go. And straight away, we'll see a visual change on our page here. We see this orange dotted outline and the transparency that's been applied to our element here. So what I have to do is I'm just going to go back down and I'm going to select our brick again because I need the options. I'll scroll back up and we'll see here how these options work. So the first option we have there is show on canvas. And you can toggle the visibility of that element off and on the canvas. So we can see what it looks like without the H1 or how it looks with it. And that's really handy for our design process because we have to make sure that our H1 is in the correct place on the flow of our document. We can change the dashes to dots and a solid line. You can change the width in pixels. We can choose the offset of the outline, and the good thing is these outlines are non-destructive, so if I change that to 10 or how about we did 50 pixels, it's wrapping over and it's affecting none of our other elements on the page, which is very handy. I'm going to keep that small, and of course we can change the color. And the other option we have here is we can adjust the opacity to how we'd like it. Now this is really handy for having a visual cue of where our hidden elements are on the page. Now if we go and preview, what we'll find is this is no longer visible. Our H1 tag is gone and we have our site design. But if we were to go and inspect the code of the website, and let's just target that and come up here, we'll still see that our H1 element is in the flow of the DOM. And so we have proper SEO compliance, but we can design our site without being worried about having an H1 element. Pretty neat. Okay. The other option I want to show you, which is pretty cool, and I'll come down here and we're going to select our brick again, is our skip to content link. Now I have this enabled. The first option we have is enable on export. So this isn't generated until you're in preview in a browser. It doesn't work within preview in Blocs. It has to be in a separate browser or when you export your site. So you can toggle this off and on, and you'll see here it changes in the brick. We see our reference change when I turn it on. We get an easy to see reference that skip to content is enabled, and we see an exclamation mark telling us that we haven't assigned an ID yet. Now the way skip to content works is it creates a link at the very top that's enabled when a keyboard is tabbed that allows a user to skip content to the main part of your website. So where that's really handy, for example, and what we'll do is we'll turn this on, and I'm going to set an ID. So let's set that to content. And the other option here is we can change the text of our link, and it's good to keep that simple and just stick with very basic descriptive things. And we also have the helper class here that's used for styling our link. Again, you've got a copy to clipboard. So we have this enabled and we've got our skip to content. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to our browser. I'm going to come back to our page here. Going to refresh. And I'm going to press the tab key. And there we see our link. Now you can't click on this with a mouse. It actually just hides away because this is a navigation feature for a keyboard. So if I press tab again, we'll see our link. And if I press return, what it will do is it will select that link and it will scroll to the top of our content. And why this is really important is if a user who's having to use a keyboard to navigate through and they've got to click tab all the way through every link and element, that becomes really difficult when you've got a big menu system. You've got to click through every single item. And so what it is it's a great feature for people that are using assistive technologies to be able to skip through the site, bypass navigation, and get to the core content of your page. And you'll find this feature actually on a lot of websites. It's actually very well utilized around the internet. So it's a cool thing to be able to implement really easily into our page. And once again, all you have to do is press Tab, press Enter, and it scrolls down to the ID you assign. Okay, so that's a quick look at VH Helper and the tools that it gives us to for design, for visually hiding our H1 tags, and also our skip to content link, which is just really boosting our accessibility features of our projects that we build in Blocs. Okay, have a fantastic day.